Sadakichi Seven, Hideyoshi no Ougon, is the debut of a genre we're going to be seeing a lot of on the PC Engine, the adventure game. And as the first adventure game on the PC Engine, it is very much in the style of adventure games on Japanese consoles at the time. You might expect that the PC Engine wouldn't really have a significant advantage over other platforms when it comes to adventure games, since we have just got a window with a static view of the area, a menu of commands, and text down below. And it's not like they can do any battery saves. But there's several improvements that we can see immediately. One of the great limitations of adventure games on consoles at this point is the tight storage space in a cartridge. I'll get to the real solution to that next time. But even the HuCard offered better memory addressing and space than a Famicom cartridge, so they could hold more game in there. And then there's the improved graphics of the PC Engine. It has a much easier time displaying kanji, and that makes the text much more readable. Written Japanese has 3 syllabaries, 2 which are phonetic, and then kanji which are symbolic. The issues that old games have with kanji are that there's literally thousands of symbols to use, and that low-resolution graphics can easily smear them to unreadability. While they're definitely not using a full set of kanji in Sadakichi 7, they can adjust the script to take advantage of the ones that they have. And the PC Engine's graphics let them draw kanji relatively cleanly, though they still have to increase their size a bit. Sadakichi 7 was a series of novels that were direct James Bond parodies. Just in case you couldn't get that vibe from the opening of the game. Sadakichi is the 7th apprentice in the Osaka Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He stocks the shelves, works the registers, assassinates people as required. The Osaka Chamber of Commerce and Industry is opposed by the evil organization NATO, a Tokyo-based organization determined to eliminate the power of the Osaka region. The books lean a lot into the eternal feud between Osaka and Tokyo. You can think of it similar to the rivalry between New York and any other major metropolitan area. At the point the game was released, there were already 4 books in the Sadakichi series, and the game was part of a whole multimedia blitz. Hideyoshi no Ougon was an original Sadakichi story developed for the game, but the series author, Takashi Togo, adapted it back to a novella to be half of a 5th book. And at the same time, a Sadakichi stage play was put on, and it was also based on the story that was created for the game. This actually caused problems for Togo down the road, because thanks to Hideyoshi no Ougon, they maintained a trademark on the use of Sadakichi 7 in video games. And so Togo couldn't get another video game made without Hudson's permission. The game's plot and script was by Hiroyuki Sakai. And while I'm pretty confident that it's not the same Hiroyuki Sakai that's Iron Chef French, I can't help but notice that Sakai stopped working on games right around the time that Sakai became the Iron Chef. So feel free to draw your own conclusions there. The plot of the game is that a document was found in the walls of Osaka Castle that hints at the location of a large hoard of gold hidden by Toyotomi Hideyoshi. Hideyoshi is one of the more fascinating figures of Japan's Sengoku period, since he was pretty much the only warlord who wasn't nobility. Now, there is one small problem with the plot to Sadakichi 7. Osaka Castle isn't Osaka Castle. Hideyoshi built an Osaka Castle back in the 16th century, but it was completely destroyed during World War II. The Osaka Castle that's there now is a modern building with a facade designed to look like the old Osaka Castle. I was kind of hoping that there would be a plot twist using that, but no such luck. During the adventure, there's a menu of 12 commands, and most of these are the ones you'd expect, like go, search, talk. There's also things like flatter, joke, and hit. After you pick out a command, you might have to pick out something to do that command to, and then you see the results. Over the course of the game, you'll have to travel to Tokyo, infiltrate a disco, and spend way too much time in bathrooms. You'll sometimes get attacked by the forces of NATO, but usually in these situations the solution is to hit them until they go away. The game is divided into 8 chapters, and these are relatively long. Maybe half an hour to an hour if you aren't following a guide like I was. The game uses a password system to save, but you only get the passwords in between chapters. Like many adventure games of this era, they threw a maze in for no good reason. Chapter 7 has a rather lengthy dungeon sequence that you have to map out. I didn't make it that far during my play session. I did play far enough for the rather shocking twist that the people in the cafe that had been helping me for a while were all murdered. And then the building's blown up right after that. So for a comedy game, this got rather surprisingly violent. This is a game where what you need to do can be really unclear. Sometimes it's because the command that you need to use is actually a pun. Other times it's because you need to repeat the same action over and over again until you get a different result. Sadakichi 7 is really fond of that one. Fortunately, there are no bad endings or fatal options, so you can brute force this game, but it will definitely take you a while. Sadakichi 7 Hideyoshi no Ougon is relatively popular in Japan. I've had a lot of people talking about what a dramatic improvement the PC Engine made for adventure games. My feeling here is that this might be a little bit harder to get into, unless you're really plugged in culturally. The entire game is written in Osaka dialect, which pretty much never comes up in academic teaching of Japanese. And a lot of the game's humor is dependent on knowing that rivalry between Tokyo and Osaka. Using Nato as the name of the villain organization, for example, is a reference to how Osakans don't like Nato, which I'm told isn't really true anymore, but it was also a stereotype in the first place. This game is the equivalent of people from New York and Chicago talking trash about each other's pizza. So this adventure game might be a bit more impenetrable than they usually are.